I never thought I'd still miss her every single day. Even now, years later, her absence feels like a shadow that never leaves me. People say time heals everything, but honestly, it doesn't. It only teaches you how to live with the emptiness. And yet, despite the pain, I'm proud of who we became. Proud of who she is. Proud of who I am. Let me take you back. I was 25 at the time, just a young woman trying to figure out her place in the world. He was 27, a man with big dreams, heavy burdens, and a heart that always felt too big for his chest. We didn't grow up rich. Our families were just average. Not poor, not wealthy. Just surviving, working, dreaming. But what we lacked in money, we made up for in passion. We had ambitions that stretched further than our small neighborhoods. And more importantly, we had each other. When we first got together, it wasn't glamorous. There were no fireworks, no movie-like slow-motion moments. It was just two people who found comfort in each other's presence. Two people who felt safe together in a world that often felt cruel. I wanted to be his best friend as much as I wanted to be his partner. I wanted to push him forward when life pushed him back. I wanted to be the voice that reminded him, you're not your mistakes, you're not your family's failures, you're more than all of that. And he wanted to be my anchor. The one who kept me grounded when my dreams made me restless. People around us used to say we were the perfect couple. And maybe that was true, at least for a while. We had this bond, this electricity that others couldn't quite explain. It wasn't about flashy gifts or expensive dates. It was about late nights spent lying on the floor, talking about the future. It was about cooking noodles together at 2 a.m. because we couldn't sleep. It was about celebrating the tiniest victories, like when I passed a tough exam, or when he finally finished a project he'd been struggling with. Every little win felt like we'd conquered the world together. But the thing about life is it never stays still. It keeps moving, dragging you along with it whether you're ready or not. And as much as we loved each other, we couldn't stop the changes that came our way. I still remember the first time I realized we were growing apart. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't some screaming match or betrayal. It was quiet, subtle, the kind of moment that sneaks up on you and settles deep inside your chest. He was sitting at his desk, buried in work. I walked into the room, ready to tell him something funny I'd read earlier. And he didn't even look up. His mind was somewhere else. His world was expanding, pulling him in directions I couldn't follow. Don't get me wrong, we still loved each other. But love isn't always enough. Sometimes, love can't keep you on the same path when your dreams take you to different places. And that's what happened to us. He had goals that demanded everything from him. His time, his energy, his focus. And I had my own ambitions too. We tried so hard to hold on. We told ourselves that as long as we loved each other, we'd figure it out. But slowly, silently, the distance between us grew. And the worst part? We didn't even realize how far apart we drifted until it was too late. The nights we used to spend laughing turned into nights spent working. The conversations we used to cherish turned into small talk squeezed in between deadlines. The hugs lasted shorter. The kisses felt rushed. And suddenly, it was like we were living two separate lives under the same roof. I think that's the cruelest way to lose someone. Not in an explosion, not in betrayal, but in silence. In the quiet unraveling of what once felt unbreakable. When we finally sat down and admitted the truth, it broke us both. We cried. We begged time to stop, even just for a second, so we could hold on a little longer. But time doesn't listen. It never has. And so we let go. That night, after he left, I sat in our empty room and stared at the walls. Every corner felt haunted by our memories. The desk where he used to write. The couch where we fell asleep watching bad movies. The kitchen where he burned toast almost every single morning. It was all still there. But he wasn't. People think breakups are just about losing the person. But they're also about losing the future you thought you'd have. The little pictures you painted in your head of what life would look like. Marriage. A home. Kids, maybe. Vacations. Growing old together. All those dreams vanish in an instant, leaving nothing but silence. And yet, even in that silence, something else grew. Strength. Independence. A deeper understanding of what it means to love without possession. We didn't stop caring about each other. We didn't stop rooting for each other. In fact, in some strange way, letting go was the most loving thing we ever did. Because we knew we couldn't hold each other back. We couldn't chain each other down to a life that didn't fit anymore. And so, we set each other free. But freedom comes with a price. The price of waking up alone. The price of walking past places that used to be ours. The price of hearing his favorite song and realizing it's no longer our song. I'd be lying if I said I didn't break down sometimes. I did. More than once. There were nights I cried until my chest hurt. Nights I whispered his name into the darkness, as if maybe he'd hear me somehow. But no one answered. The only reply was the sound of my own heartbeat, reminding me I was still here. And slowly, piece by piece, I rebuilt myself. I poured my energy into my work. I traveled, made new friends, tried things I'd always been too scared to try. And he did the same. We grew. We became the people we were meant to be. But here's the thing. Even now, after all this time, I still miss him. Not in a way that makes me want to run back. Not in a way that makes me regret the breakup. But in a way that feels like nostalgia. Like missing a home you can never return to. Because some relationships aren't meant to last forever. Some are meant to shape you, to carve lessons into your soul, to prepare you for the rest of your life. And that's what we were. We were a chapter. A beautiful, heartbreaking, unforgettable chapter. And as much as it hurts, I wouldn't erase it. Not a single second. What about you? Have you ever let go of someone you still miss every day? You'd think that once a relationship ends, the hardest part is over. That after the tears are shed, after the boxes are packed, after the final goodbye is whispered, the pain eventually fades. But in reality, the hardest part comes after. When the silence settles in. When the world goes back to normal, except your world doesn't. I woke up alone for the first time in years. The bed felt massive, like an ocean with no shore. I reached to the side, instinctively, for someone who wasn't there anymore. My hand touched nothing but cold sheets. And that's when it hit me. She was gone. Not just from my room, but from my life. Days blurred into weeks. Friends tried to cheer me up, telling me, "It's for the best, you'll see." They didn't understand. It wasn't about wanting her back. It was about learning how to live without the piece of myself I'd given away. Because when you love someone that deeply, they don't just leave with their stuff. They take parts of you with them. I remember walking through our old neighborhood one afternoon. The sun was shining, kids were playing, life was moving forward like nothing had changed. But to me, everything felt wrong. Every corner carried a memory. That cafe on the corner, that's where she spilled coffee on herself and laughed so hard she cried. That park bench, that's where we made plans for a future that never came true. That little bookstore, that's where she picked up a dusty poetry collection and read aloud until the shop owner kicked us out. Everywhere I turned, it was us. People tell you to avoid the places that remind you of someone. But what do you do when everything reminds you of them? When the world itself feels like it's conspiring to keep them alive in your memory. The first few months after the breakup were like walking through quicksand. Every step forward felt impossible. Every attempt to distract myself ended in failure. I threw myself into work, thinking maybe ambition could drown the ache. But no matter how late I stayed at the office, no matter how many projects I finished when I closed my eyes at night, she was there. Her laugh, her eyes, the way she used to grab my hand under the table when no one was looking. How do you erase something like that? The truth is you don't. You carry it with you. And over time, it changes shape. The sharpness dulls. The pain softens. But the presence never leaves. There were nights I almost reached out. Phone in my hand, her number glowing on the screen. My thumb hovering over call. But I never pressed it. Because deep down I knew we weren't meant to circle back. We had our time. We had our story. And going back would only ruin the beauty of what it once was. Instead, I learned how to live with the longing, to channel it into growth. I started running in the mornings. Something I used to hate, but now it felt like freedom. Each step was like shedding old pieces of myself. Each mile was proof that I could keep moving, even when it hurt. I picked up new hobbies, taught myself how to cook more than instant noodles, tried painting, even though I was terrible at it, traveled to places I'd only seen in magazines. And with every new experience, I felt myself coming back to life. Not the same life as before, a different one. And yet, she was always there in the quiet moments. Like a ghost, but not the haunting kind. More like a guardian, a reminder, a piece of me I couldn't and didn't want to erase. The years passed. We both achieved the things we used to stay up late dreaming about. Careers, independence, confidence. We became the people we once promised each other we'd become. Sometimes I wonder, would we have made it if we'd stayed together? Or did we only succeed because we let each other go? Maybe the truth is we were never supposed to last forever. Maybe we were only supposed to be a stepping stone to the lives we have now. That thought doesn't make the missing stop. It just makes it easier to breathe. Because I can look at her now, not in person, but in my mind, and feel proud instead of broken. Proud of the way she fought for her dreams. Proud of the way I fought for mine. Proud of the love we shared, even if it had an expiration date. And maybe that's the greatest lesson of all. that some loves aren't meant to be lifelong partnerships. Some loves are meant to be teachers, to show you how to give, how to fight, how to grow, how to believe in someone else as much as you believe in yourself. She was my teacher, my partner, my best friend, and though she's no longer by my side, she'll always be part of my story, a chapter I'll never regret. So yes, I still miss her every day, but I no longer see that as a weakness. I see it as proof that what we had was real, that it mattered, that even the things that end can still leave you better than they found you. And maybe one day, years from now, I'll sit across from someone new. I'll hold her hand. I'll smile in ways I thought I'd forgotten. And I'll silently thank the girl I once loved for teaching me how to love at all. D. Oh, you think some relationships are meant to last a lifetime, or are some just meant to change us forever?